Picture a 1960s father opening his front door to meet the young man taking his daughter out. One look, one handshake, one short conversation, and he could tell you exactly what that boy was made of. Now show that same father a single night of modern dating. The texting, the apps, the splitting of the bill, the whole lot of nothing that passes for courting today. It would not just disappoint him. It would turn his stomach. Here are 12 of them, and the last one is the one he could never forgive. A 1960s man did not date for fun. He dated to find a wife, and every move he made was an audition for the role of husband. We kept the dating and threw out the point of it, and here are 12 signs of it, counted down, with number 1 the one that would make a father stand up and end the evening. Number 12. He splits the bill. The check lands on the table, and today's man slides it to the middle, or pulls out his phone to send her a request for her exact half of the pasta and the iced tea. A 1960s man would have been mortified at the very thought. He paid without a flicker of hesitation, not because she could not, but because paying was the simplest, oldest way a man said, "I can provide, and I am glad to." Evolutionary psychologists like David Buss have shown that a man's willingness to provide is one of the oldest and strongest signals a woman reads in a mate, written deep into how people choose each other. It cost him a few dollars, and it told her everything. That he was a man who took care of the people he was with. Today, we have turned the first date into a transaction. 2 strangers guarding their own wallets. And a father from that era would watch a young man split the bill and know in an instant the boy had no intention of taking care of anyone but himself. He paid. Period. Number 11. He expects the bedroom by the end of the night and offers nothing in return. No courtship, no commitment, no plan to stick around. Just the quiet assumption that a couple of drinks buys him the most intimate thing one person can give another. A man from the 1960s understood that kind of closeness was earned slowly, with time and proof and a promise behind it, not collected on a first date like loose change. He came to court a woman he might build a whole life with, not to take something from a stranger and move along. Today's man wants the deepest reward with none of the work and none of the risk that always used to come before it. A father could see that hunger in a young man from across the room, and it was the one thing he guarded his daughter against most fiercely of all. He came to court, not to collect. Number 10. He is juggling 5 other women at once. His phone buzzes all night with other names. He is keeping his options open, talking to a half-dozen women, committing to none, treating dating like a buffet he never has to get up from. A man in the 1960s, once he set his sights on a girl, courted her and her alone. Going steady meant exactly that, and a man seen running around with several women at the same time was marked as precisely the kind nobody's father trusted. Choosing one woman and pursuing her honestly was the whole game. Today's man keeps everyone on a string, so he never has to risk truly wanting just one. and calls it freedom. A father could spot that kind of player in a single evening, and he would have his daughter back inside before the boy finished his sentence. He chose one, and he meant it. Number 9, he refuses to define anything. Months go by, and today's man still will not say what they are, dodging the question, keeping it a situationship, all the closeness of a relationship with none of the commitment and none of the word. A 1960s man came with clear intentions. From the very start, everyone knew he was courting her and that it was leading somewhere toward a ring and a life. Researchers at the University of Denver, led by the psychologist Scott Stanley, found that people who just slide along without ever deciding what they are, instead of clearly choosing each other, end up in weaker and less stable relationships. Deciding beats sliding every single time. Naming the thing was not pressure. It was honesty. A man telling a woman plainly what he wanted instead of stringing her along in a fog for as long as it suited him. A father would have asked a young man straight out, "What are your intentions with my daughter?" and expected a straight answer on the spot. He came with intentions. Quick word before we go on. If these first few have landed, hit that subscribe button, because this list is about to change how you see what dating was even for. And number 1 ties all of it together. Number 8. He did not dress up. He shows up in gym shorts and a wrinkled hoodie, slides on his feet, looking like he wandered over straight from the couch on the one night he's supposed to be making his best impression. A 1960s man put on a pressed shirt, knotted a tie, shined his shoes, and ran a comb through his hair, because how he showed up was the first thing he said to her without speaking a word. Dressing for the occasion was not vanity. It was respect. A way of telling her that this night and she were worth the effort of looking his best. Today's man rolls up in whatever was on the bedroom floor and expects her to be flattered he came at all. A father would take one look at the slides and the hoodie and know the boy did not think his daughter was worth ironing a shirt for. He dressed like she mattered. Number 7. He has no plan. "I don't know. What do you want to do?" He shrugs, handing her the entire job of figuring out the evening that he asked her on. A 1960s man arrived with a plan already made. Dinner here, a show after, a walk by the water, because deciding and leading was simply part of being the man who did the asking. A plan told her he had thought about this night and about her before it ever started. That he was a man who could take charge of something and carry it through. Today's man offers a blank shrug and calls it being easygoing, but a woman hears it for exactly what it is. "I did not care enough to think about this." A father watched how a young man ran a single evening because it told him plainly how the boy would one day run a home. He had a plan. Everything so far is what a father could see from the porch. The next ones are the ones that told him what kind of husband the boy would really become. And those are the ones that matter most. Stay with me. Number 6. He is on his phone the whole time. The date is happening. A living woman is sitting 3 feet away, and today's man keeps glancing down, checking notifications, half listening, his attention sliced into a dozen pieces and not one of them fully hers. A 1960s man had no such escape and would not have wanted one. For those few hours, she had every bit of his attention, his eyes, his questions, his full presence. Because giving a woman your complete attention was the entire point of taking her out in the first place. A father back then taught his son that a man looks a person in the eye and listens like it matters. Today's date has to compete with a glowing rectangle for a man's focus, and usually loses. A woman can feel, in about 10 minutes, whether she is being courted or merely tolerated between scrolls. She had his full attention. Number 5. He does not pick her up. "Just meet me there," he texts, sending an address and letting her drive herself across town in the dark to sit across from a man who could not be bothered to come and get her. A 1960s man drove to her house, walked to the door, and stood there in front of her whole family, hat in hand, taking on the small risk and the small effort of arriving in person. Coming to the door was the first promise of the night. "I will show up for you where it counts." It also meant her father got a good long look at him, his car, his manners, the shine on his shoes, before his daughter ever stepped off the porch. Today's man skips all of it and calls it convenient. What it really tells her is that he will not go even a little out of his way on the one night he is supposed to be trying his hardest. He came to the door. Number 4. He does not call. He texts. A few lazy words on a screen at 10 at night. "You up? What are you doing?" And that passes for asking a woman out today. A 1960s man picked up the telephone, called the house, and if her father answered first, he spoke to him like a man before he ever got to her. He asked her out in his own voice, for a specific night, to a specific place, and he was nervous doing it, because it actually meant something. A father back then could hear a young man's whole character in how he made that one call. Today, there is no call, no voice, no nerve, just a thumb tapping a screen. Every word hedged so he can never be told no out loud. He risked nothing, so he is owed nothing. A man who cannot even say the words, "Will you go out with me?" has already decided, before it starts, that none of it really counts. He called and he asked. Number 3. He trauma dumps on the first date. 20 minutes in, today's man is already unloading his ex, his therapy, his childhood wounds, the whole emotional autopsy, onto a woman he met barely an hour ago. A 1960s man kept his troubles his own, especially early, not because he had none, but because he understood that a first meeting was no place to hand a near stranger the heavy bag of his life. Researchers who study self-disclosure find the very same thing. When a man unloads deep personal pain too soon, before any real closeness has been earned, it actually lowers attraction and trust instead of building it. He carried his burdens with some dignity and let her get to know the man, not the wound. A father would see a young man oversharing his pain on date 1 and know the boy was hunting for a nurse, not a wife. He kept his troubles his own. Number 2. He ghosts. When he is done, or scared, or simply bored, Today's man does not say so. He just vanishes, stops answering, disappears without a single word, and leaves her staring at a phone wondering what she did wrong. A man from the 1960s, if it was not working, told her so to her face, or at the very least like a man, because he understood that a person who gave you their time and their hope is owed an ending, not a silence. A 2021 study in the journal Psychology of Popular Media found that being ghosted genuinely damages a person, undermining their basic needs for connection, control, and self-worth, and leaving them lonelier and more helpless than before. He ended things with the same respect he started them with. Today's man slips out the back rather than say one hard, true sentence, and calls it avoiding drama. A father would call it cowardice, plain and simple. He said it to her face. Quick thing before the last one. If this has been worth your time, tap that like button. It helps a small channel like this one reach the next person who needs to hear it. And number 1, he never had any intention of becoming a husband. This is the one a 1960s father could never forgive, because it is the rot underneath every other thing on this list. A man back then dated for one honest reason: to find the woman he would marry, build a home with, and grow old beside. Every single thing he did on a date, the call, the door, the check, the plan, the respect, was him auditioning for the role of husband and father, and meaning every bit of it. Today's man dates to be entertained, to pass the time, to feel wanted, with no intention of ever actually becoming anyone's husband. And he keeps women parked in that holding pattern for years, while the best of their time quietly runs out. A father could smell that emptiness across a crowded room, because it changes everything. A man trying to win a wife treats a woman like a future. A man who is only there to be entertained treats her like a way to kill an evening. That is the whole difference between the two kinds of men, and it is the difference a daughter ends up paying for. Date like you are trying to become someone's husband, and mean it. Everything else on this list fixes itself the moment a man does. These were not perfect men, and the old world had plenty wrong with it. But a man back then knew that taking a woman out was a serious thing, a promise already in motion, and we quietly traded all of that for something easier and emptier. So tell me one thing in the comments. What is the one thing your father or grandfather did when he was courting that no man seems to do anymore? I read, everyone